Hi, I'm Mary Laverty, and this is the Life Balance Show. Today, we're going to talk about the power of paying attention. Now, this is a world in which distractions are everywhere, and it's my belief that we are really losing out on the power that we have when we pay attention. I wrote a whole chapter about it in my book. I used to have a handle on life, but it broke, and I want to read a couple of statistics to you out of there. First of all, it's multitasking that gets us in a lot of trouble. Don't even start me on texting while driving. But we do lots of other things all at the same time. And where this originated was it was really a computer term that described the operating systems capable of running several applications at once. So that's what we want to do, is run several applications at once. Now, computers can do this. Unfortunately, human beings cannot. Research shows that we are really not doing two things at once. Our brain goes back and forth very rapidly. So we think we're doing two things at once, but actually there is a gap of going back and forth, and it's very inefficient use of our time. Now, here are the statistics. Research by Yanklevich found that 92% of women agreed with this statement. I'm grateful to any product or brand that makes it easier for me to get several things done at once. Roseanne thinks Sears should invent a writing vacuum, and I'm hoping that somebody will come out with an oven that will make toast, dry a load of towels, and heat my hair curlers on the mornings that I am running late. Unfortunately, doing two or three things at once actually dilutes us. Now here's another one. 87% of women agreed with the statement. It seems I'm always doing more than one thing at a time. So if you think about our collective lifestyles, pretty much nobody is paying attention to each other because we're all doing several things at once. And the last one is that 81% of us said this. There seems to be more things to worry about than there were just a few years ago. You know, as the world gets scarier, or so we perceive it, it makes sense to somehow be able to do lots and lots of things and feel like we're getting an edge and getting ahead. But the fact of the matter is, we're not. And we're losing out on the power of paying attention. One of my favorite stories was a woman who said that she came home from work and her 5-year-old was sitting there. They were in the kitchen and the woman was making dinner and pinching off the geraniums and checking mail and checking email and doing all kinds of things at 6 times. Her 5-year-old is trying to tell her about her day at kindergarten. And the woman said to me, Mary, I swear I was listening. I heard everything she said. But the little girl got down off the stool, came around, got to her mother, put her hands on her mother's cheeks and said, Mommy, listen to me with your eyes. We need to start listening to one another with our eyes. One of the most beautiful illustrations of the power of paying attention happened when I spoke for the Country Music Radio Convention in Nashville. That year, Garth Brooks was the keynote speaker, and there was 3,100 DJs, station owners, and producers, almost all men, in the audience. Garth sat on stage on a stool, kind of like I am, with the MC seated next to him. And the first question the MC said was, Garth, you know, I need to know why you're here. He said, you were just in New York presenting and performing and winning at the Grammys. And this week you are hosting Saturday Night Live, in which they don't want you to leave. They want you to stay and rehearse. And yet you're here in Nashville. Why? And he said, well, I gave my word and Country Music Radio made Garth Brooks, so I wanted to be here. So he answered a few more questions. And then they opened it up to the audience for questions. Long line formed and Garth answered question after question. Then I saw the MC kind of go like this, and he said to Garth, Garth, you know, really, thank you so much, but it's time to go. And he started to wrap it up, and Garth said, you know what, I'm going to go, but first, I'm going to answer these 7 people who are still in line. So he answered 3 or 4 more questions, and then I see this again, and he's clearly getting a message, and the MC said, Garth, I'm really sorry, but jet fuel is expensive, and your plane is ready to go, and you've got to get back to New York for rehearsals. Garth said, I'm going to go, but first, I'm going to answer these 3 people who are still in line. Well, the first guy gets up, and he has a 2-part question. I cringed. But you know what? Garth was unfazed. He answered the first question, and as the guy started to walk away, he said, "Excuse me, sir, but I think you had another question." The next guy comes up. He has an equally complicated request, and Garth says, "Don't worry about it. Meet me backstage. I'll give you a quick little testimonial for your station." And on his way he went. The last person was a woman, one of the few women in this entire room of 3,100 men. And she said, "You know, Garth, I came a long way. I'm from Alaska. And our station has sponsored you many times, and I have been backstage with you. But I have never had the honor of shaking your hand." She said, "I don't have a question. I just don't want to get this close and not get to shake your hand again." Well, Garth took off his big old cowboy hat. He leaped off the stage. He ran down the middle of this huge ballroom as fast as he could. He scoops this woman up and gives her a 20-second bear hug. I look around the room. Here are 31 men going, something in their eye, no doubt. And you know, the researcher in me had to stop and say, okay, what is going on? How did he just move thousands of people to tears? And I realized it was because he paid attention to these people. He was a huge star. At that time, he was selling most of country music radio, or radio's success things. He did not have to stay and do more. He had already wowed them. Saturday Night Live did want him back. But he used the power of paying attention. Now, some people will say, well, maybe that was just a marketing ploy. Look, I don't think it was, and I don't think any of those other people thought it was either. But you know what? Even if it was, do you suppose that lots of those DJs went back and played his new song on the radio? Do you suppose they told the story of his kindness and his attention to all of them in a very genuine and authentic way? I bet they did, because I'm telling this story to you, and this was years ago. That's how much of an impact it can make on someone. What I've discovered is that there is often a hierarchy. When the hierarchy is very wide, the power of paying attention seems to be even greater. Parent to child, celebrity to fan, fortunate to less fortunate, teacher to student. But what's even more fascinating about the power of paying attention is that that hierarchy, that distance in hierarchy, means both of them are affected. You know, if many of you have probably had a fabulous teacher, and some of you may have even gone back and told that teacher how wonderful they were and how much of an impact they made on your life, or maybe you wrote a letter or an email to them. So the question is, who felt better? Did you as the student get more as you're pouring out your heart saying, "This changed my life"? Or did the teacher, who had dedicated his or her life to teaching, did they get more out of that little moment of paying attention? It's a pretty powerful concept. So what I'd like you to do is watch yourself for the next few weeks and see what kind of attention you are paying. Who are you paying attention to? Do you pay attention with your eyes? A very, very powerful way to look at things. I hope you'll take a chance to sit down and talk to somebody else about it, make a commitment, journal about it, say it out loud that you're going to use the power of paying attention. I love this one. I hope you use it, and I hope I hear from you at mary@maryloverdi.com. And in the meantime, when you can't keep up, connect.